We are at the end of 2024 and I would like to conclude my year with a video reviewing some of the paintings that I created throughout this year. I will also share a bit about my life during this year and what I'm planning to do in 2025. So let's get started. Hi, this is Eric from Fast Track Watercolor. I hope you had a good holiday with your loved ones. As the years pass, the world becomes more negative with conflicts, tragedies, and difficulties. At a time like these, I feel we should be extra thankful for the loved ones who support us and keep us company in our life journey. So, if you can, spend some time appreciating those people in your life. These people are getting harder and harder to come by. Treasure them. So today's video is going to be very casual. We will review some of the paintings I created this year. I'm going to critique my work and try to figure out what worked well and what need improvements, and what attempts I made to develop my own work this year. After that, I will casually share my life in general this year and what plans I have for 2025. So grab a coffee, relax, and look at some of the paintings I made this year. Okay, so let's take a look at the paintings that I did this year. Now, this probably not everything that I did, but most of them. Let me organize them real quick. Alright, well, look at them all at once. It's still quite a feeling. Now, again, I am not that prolific, so these are not that many. If I paint every day, then it should be way bigger. This is not my full-time job, so I try to paint as much as I can. And some of the painting are definitely just bad paintings, so I just didn't put it in at all. But that being said, let's take a look at them. So the first painting that I did this year is my wife, and I took this picture last year on the date, and I really liked the photo, so I decided to paint it. And after I finish it, I feel like the background is a little bit too empty. Now you can look at most of my paintings, the backgrounds are very, very simple, couple brush strokes and stuff. So this is not unusual, but I feel like it just needs a little bit more and I want to do something new. So I decided to paint a Muka inspired background. Now, before I put it on the actual paper, I actually took a photo and put it in the iPad and did a mock-up for the background. After I think it looks good, I start to paint on the watercolor paper. I think it's because the way she posed, just very still, very centered, and her hair just looked very elegant. It really reminds me of Muka's painting, so that's why I decided to do it. So my very first painting in 2024, and I quite like it. There are a few things that I'm not completely happy with. The distance between the eye and the nose is a little bit too long. I wish I can shrink it down just a little bit, but it's not to a point that I don't recognize her and it's unnatural. It's just a little bit of, thing that bugs me just a little bit. And also her shoulder, this is a very sharp shoulder that shouldn't be like that. I should have tried to round it up a little bit. I think when I paint the background, I just focusing on background too much and I forgot the shape that I need to preserve. Now I can come back with another brush stroke to round it off, but it is already in the frame, so I will have to take it off and start to paint on it again. So I will do that once I got some time and when I remember. Okay, so springtime, I paint some cherry blossom, I paint water lily, and this is just a cherry blossom painting I did. Washington has some very beautiful cherry blossoms, so I painted and I paint myself and my wife in it. It's quite fun. Now this water lily painting, I actually quite like it. The photos provided by a watercolor group in my workspace, so they will share some photos for people to paint. I quite like the photos, so I decided to paint it as part of my Patreon demo. Now I like the different surface quality between the leaves under the water and above the water, so you can tell this leaf, part of it has water on it. Overall, I just like this painting quite a bit. During the spring break, I went to Vegas, so this is one of the places that I visit. Is on the Vegas trip. I took a photo and I bring it back and paint it. I love the sky that I was able to paint that fluffy, soft cloud. I do like the lighting quite a bit. I love this tree. I feel like the little brushstrokes that I put down looks quite nice, but this area feels a little bit dirty. I could have done it a little bit better. Sometimes I'm just not patient enough. Some of the area I should have waited for it to dry before I put another color on it. So when I'm not patient, things will start to become kind of stainy and just not looking that good. So that's something that I need to work on. I don't remember when, but at some point of this year I paint my cat, Goma and Nickel. So they are both in a bright sunlight from the window. I am happy with how the fur is coming out, especially the fur that's glowing under the sun in this painting. I need to do some wet onto wet and leave it nice and soft on the edge and remain white here. And there's some soft edges here that just kind of blend into the background here as well. So I'm quite happy with how these two turned out. Okay, and during the spring, I also visited Vancouver, so I painted this too. After I came back, these are both on the way to Vancouver. This is in the morning, this is in the evening. This one, this is the summer morning. And so I took this photo maybe a couple years ago, but I'm quite happy with the result, nice and clean, except this water stain down here. I don't know how it happened. It just happened there, but not that big of a deal. It's just a practice anyways. So during the spring, I went back to California. The company flew us back for a summit, and I visited Santa Barbara briefly. I was hoping to paint a sunny beach and I can do plein air there, but that day is windy and raining, so very not California like. So I took a photo of this street and I took it back and I actually make it into a sunny scene. Otherwise the original photo is not like these. It's a fun little exercise to kind of create lighting and stuff. It's also for my Patreon demo as well. And I also painted this too. So these two paintings are Japan. I took the photo from, this is a Nihonbashi area and this is Shibuya. So I took these two photos last year, 2023, when I was in Japan in the winter. So whenever I visit Japan and I took these photos, it always kind of brought me back to my love of anime. And I did a video last year talking about this painting. It's because I want to kind of go back to what I like and paint something similar to the style that I appreciate when I was younger, which is anime. And I try to, I'm not going to say copy, but inspired by those anime movie backgrounds. So movie like Ghibli movies or Makoto Shinkai movie, they all have beautiful painted background and they're quite detailed and refined. So I was trying to do that, something similar to that with watercolor. So this Vancouver that I painted, this is actually from last year, not this year, but I just want to put it in because there's a story behind it. And this also got accepted in one of the Northwest Watercolor Society show art exhibitions, so I'm quite happy about this one. So this is the same idea. I try to paint something a lot refined, a lot more detail, and the result is quite nice. I like it quite a bit. This one, some of the area can have a little bit of improvement. This shadow doesn't look that pleasant, a little bit dirty. But this one, I like it quite a bit. Probably one of my favorite painting done by myself. Now, I still try to make a loose painting when I don't have 5-6 hours to do a painting. But there's just something about a very detailed refined painting like these. Just that sense of cleanness and stillness is just quite nice. So if I get a chance, I'll probably do something more like these. But at the same time, I'm also sort of struggling to find a happy middle point between something so refined and detailed like this one, but also something very loose. So when I'm trying to do a loose painting, there are details that I want to put in, but with the time restraint, when I'm doing like a Patreon demo with 1 hour to 2 hours, I don't have that much time. So there are times that I really need to think, where should I simplify more and where should I put more detail? How much detail should I put so that I can retain some of that refined feeling in a loose painting? So I feel like that's something that I'm still struggling to find, and that's hopefully something that I will get as the time goes on, as I do more painting. So during the summer, I paint Juanita Beach. This is in Kirkland, so I like it quite a bit. The water and the light and the boat, everything just come together very well. Very simple painting. I like it quite a bit. And I also visited Whidbey Island, which is also in Washington, and I did this painting with the photo and this one as well. Let me move them close together. So this one is a late afternoon sunset color, and this is in the morning light. So I like the morning light one a lot better because the form and everything just shows up a lot better. This one, I try to capture that late afternoon sunset color, and it just doesn't really turn out the way that I wanted to. Feels a little bit dirty, even though in the original photo the ground is quite dark. But I feel like there's something that I should do before I decided to paint this one. Yeah, I like the morning one a lot better, but still, this is a good learning experience. I painted this one, which is also in Japan. This is the same area as this area, which is kind of hard to believe, but after a couple minutes of walk, I come under a bridge and there's like this wonderful boat there, so I took a photo and decided to paint it. This one is a Patreon demo, so it's a lot looser and simpler, and this one I paint with a lot more detail. I painted this one, and I also did a video about AI art versus my painting. I did it out of fun, but that becomes a very popular video. I think just the topic of AI is so many people talking about it, so it becomes like a very popular video. That being said, I actually like the loose painting a little bit better, just because the point of this painting is just that bright light in the end of that bridge. And while I try to do the same thing here, I feel like I painted a little bit too much detail here, so it kind of loses a little bit of that lightness, even though I like the color here a lot better. But overall, I just like the loose painting a little bit better. So this is what I'm talking about. How do I retain the clean and the looseness of this painting, but have some of the sophistication and the refinement of a painting that I did for 5 to 6 hours. So again, something that I'm trying to capture. So during fall time, I play Black Myth Wukong. I took a screenshot and I just paint the screenshot. And when I took a screenshot in the game, it's pretty similar to how I take a photo in real life when I'm trying to paint it. So I would compose it a little bit and took a picture. So in this painting, I try to focus on a lot of this tree, this delicate detail and stuff. So overall, it gives it that kind of a Chinese painting look. Not exactly that, but I try to kind of capture that feeling, and I'm quite happy with this one. This painting is another painting. I found a model on Instagram and I decided to paint her, and I added a background pretty similar to Muka style background. So I like this quite a bit. The only problem I have is that her face is not very, the features are not too aligned. The eye and nose are fine, but I feel like the mouth is a little bit tilted. So it feels like she's kind of smirking in a way. It's not the end of the world, but this just kind of bugs me now that I look at it. So that's what happens when you are just kind of rushing through, not paying enough attention when you're doing a line drawing. So you will pay the price later. So I definitely learned my lesson, try to spend more time on the drawing to make sure that it looks good before I start painting. I also painted Andy Evenson. This is from one of his video. He's kind of looking at sunset or something like that. So I like this eye area. That's probably my favorite part of this painting. That being said, because of the dark area, I try to add more detail. I think a result make it a little bit too dirty. I think it's always a good thing for me to try to simplify it a little bit more. So kind of similar to this one. This one is actually, the original photo is quite contrasty as well, especially in the shadow area. It gets quite dark, but I decided to just keep it light and middle value mostly, so it turns out a lot cleaner, and I like it quite a bit as well. So I think this is the same girl as this one, and I use iPad to draw. Sometimes I'll use iPad if I want to draw something that's kind of a sketchy, similar to charcoal. I will do that. So this is one of it. If you zoom in, there's quite a bit of small line detailed and stuff, so to retain the overall sharpness of the drawing. This Father's Day, I painted a pastor who has a tremendous impact and help on me when I was in my 20s. So I decided to kind of paint this to kind of honor him. I also gave it to him this summer. So I like this quite a bit. This is not a hard painting, quite frankly, because the lighting makes the structure very prominent. And this is when he's doing a sermon. And on the stage, there's also usually a very bright light, kind of stage light on the speaker. So it's very easy for me to paint the lighting. My favorite part of this painting is probably this single brushstroke right here, just that little broken brushstroke, and just very clean and confident. I really like how it turned out. I also like the hand gesture quite a bit. I like how dark I made this so that the hand kind of really just kind of pops out quite a bit. Okay, and continue on to some of the fall paintings. So this two and this three paintings are fall paintings, so they look quite similar. They're loose. I focus on the color quite a bit, especially this one, blue sky, warm tree leaves and stuff, bright light. I am happy with this three. That being said, I feel like the buildings and stuff can look a little bit better. I think especially this one, because I think I rushed through some of the detail a little bit too much. So I think in that case, it might be better if I just simplify or even make them kind of abstract. When I try to define something, but I also don't define it as much as I could, it usually end up looking like these, which is not really pleasant looking. So again, that's something that I sort of finding that simple shape, but to paint enough sophistication in them. Okay, and this is another one that I paint. I like a lot of lighting. So this year I did a voiceover and translation to Master Jian Zhongwei, his video. Some of the people actually came to me and say, yeah, I listened to that voice and it's very familiar. Is that your voice? And that is me. So I had the honor to translate his demo, also do the voiceover. So I learned something from that personally, and that's how he used masking fluid and able to paint some beautiful lighting with it. So this painting is something that I try to do the same attempt. So a lot of this kind of pearly looking light, these are masking fluid. After I remove them, I scrub it a little bit with my small nylon brush and get that kind of a bright, bloomy looking light. So I like the light in this painting quite a bit, especially the transition between warm and cool in the shadow. However, something that I'm really not happy with is the car. I feel like I paint the car a little bit too dirty. Yellow is a color that's very easy to mess up, I feel. So I think if I keep it simple, just paint 1 or 2 layers, it wouldn't be as bad as this. I think I try to darken it a little bit too much, trying to bring out the light, but end up just looking dirty. And also the direction of a shadow is also a little bit odd, so I'm not quite happy with this. Now, the original photo doesn't have a car. I add that car in Photoshop. So that just kind of goes on to say that if I want to create something that's not in the original source, I still need a lot more practice. This is a portrait that I'm quite happy with. Very, very simple. And most of her face is actually in the shadow. So again, like this one right here, I try to just keep it at the light and middle value. I have few dark value, but not much. So the result is still kind of transparent and simple, but I was able to get that light out. So I'm quite happy with it. And then, it started to rain in Seattle. So one rainy morning, I go out and start to take a photo, and I paint a street scenery, a wet street scenery, which I haven't done for quite a while. So while I'm happy with this painting, I feel like things gets a little bit too complex in the reflection area. Now I try to be a little bit different. I don't want, when I'm painting a rainy scenery, people just look at my painting and reminded of Joseph Spookvich. Nothing wrong with his work. I love his work, but I want to, be a little bit different. I want to paint something that feels like me. So I try a little bit different things. Still, I'm happy with the painting. I add a Totoro in there just for fun. I submit this painting to AWS. I got rejected. Not too surprised. This is definitely not my best work, but I just thought I'd try. One thing I do really like about the painting is how bright the headlight is. So I'm using masking fluid for that. So I'm quite happy with that effect. So again, in terms of the scenery, I see I'm trying to find a balance between a very refined, clean, detailed painting and something a little bit loose, but still retain some of the sophistication from this type of painting. So hopefully that's something I can find next year. And then start to go into the winter time. So I painted several portraits during the winter. So this is a very important painting because I feel like I had quite a bit of breakthrough for this one. So what I did is I do more wet onto wet in this painting in a skin tone, which is something that I avoid doing before because I don't want to mess up the wash. But I start to just venture out a little bit, try to be a little bit more daring using a small nylon brush, trying to add more colors, add more different tones during wet onto wet stage. And this is also the first time I try to mix a cooler skin tone. She is looking outside in the window, and the window light just kind of cool looking. So I try to keep her skin tone a little bit lighter, and I like the effect of the granular paint on her hair and her coat quite a bit, and was able to get that kind of a furry look to it. So this painting is definitely have some breakthrough. So I take that into this painting as well. This person's name is Ella. She is a model, face model for the game Resident Evil 4 remake. If you play a video game, you probably know her. And I found this photo. I like the lighting quite a bit, so I decided to paint it in. Usually when I paint somebody on Instagram or something, I will try to let them know that I painted them, get their permission to use their photo and their face. Usually they're pretty happy about it. So I let her know as well. She liked the painting a lot. And something kind of interesting happened is that she followed me back at some point this year because of the painting, which is a huge honor. She has like 1 point something million subscribers, so in her Instagram account. Okay, her YouTube also have like 800,000 subscribers, way more than me. So yeah, when she followed me back, I am super honored and I'm shocked. Well, I think she's just being nice because we didn't really interact all that much on Instagram, so I think she's just being nice. But still, getting a response from somebody that well known is still quite a thrilling experience. This coffee I painted for one of the Patreon demo. I really enjoy painting the ceramic texture and the soft latte art. The original photo taken by me. The coffee latte art also done by me, so I'm kind of recreating my own art in a way. I painted this snow scenery, Emerald Lake. This is in Alberta. I believe it's in Alberta, Banff, Canada. So I like this one quite a bit. Again, I try to add something, subtle and sophisticated in the background. So the background, mountain and the fogs, and the reflection and things like that. One thing I wish I did is to simplify this area. I feel like this area gets a little bit too busy, even though the real original photo does have that many window panels, but I feel like for my painting I should have simplified that quite a bit, so when I'm looking at this painting I won't just get distracted by all that stuff and focusing on the light here. So again, good learning experience, even though I'm not completely happy with. This is also one of my favorite painting this year. She's wearing a leather jacket and the purse. I was able to get that texture out, and overall I just feel like it's very successful. Again, it reminds me of the illustration back in Norman Rockwell, J.C. Leyendecker, that type of style. Of course, I'm nowhere near their level, but just something similar. And because her face is pretty small in the overall painting, so I really need to simplify the shape, and I think the shapes that I painted in is in a pretty good place, so it shows up enough detail and lighting, and overall I just really like this painting. And a little bit of side stuff is that I'm also a 3D artist. My day job is actually a video game artist, so this is something that I made. So this is kind of a personal project, but it's supported by the studio that I work in. It's kind of a Star Wars theme based on the Galaxy Edge and Disneyland. I pretty much model everything, texture everything, except this tree here, and put the lighting and everything. So quite a bit of experience. I finished this over a couple months. I modeled the droid, K2SO, this TIE fighter, and some of those doodads on the wall, and the props and stuff to create this complete scene. So quite happy with this. Learned a lot as well. And now I end my year with a portrait of my wife. This is actually the first time I paint her wearing glasses after so many years of painting her every single year. And again, this is something that I also did, is to do some more wet on to wet effect in the wet on wet stage for the knitted hat and the furry jacket. So I was able to kind of get that texture out. And I also add some more kind of wet on to wet effect here as well. Her eyebrow and things like that. So it's not a huge leap from this to this, but there's definitely something I get to start doing during this year. So for the next year, hopefully I can find a balance between painting a very sophisticated painting like this two, and between these type of painting and a very loose painting, because I wish that I can have some of these in this painting. Exactly how, I don't know, but I feel like that's part of the journey to to be a better painter. So when I'm painting something kind of simple, this is a hazy sunset in Los Angeles, I can still have some very interesting texture down here, but not lose the overall looseness of the painting. There's always something that I'm not completely happy with, but that's not the point. There's always the next painting and always the next attempt. And I am so glad that you are here looking at all this work with me. I think as an artist, it's important to be honest with yourself. I'm definitely not able to consistently create painting that I am super happy with. That's just not possible. But it's also important to reflect and think about what we learn with each attempt. Even with a painting that you're not happy with, there's always something to learn from it. So all that being said, I also want to share a little bit about what happened in my life during 2024. Well, nothing huge happened in my life this year, and honestly, I am grateful for that. I guess because I am getting older, I've really come to appreciate stability in life. One thing I'm quite proud of myself though is that since 2023, I have started to work out at home and be a bit more conscious about what I eat. There's nothing dramatic about these. My workout routine is usually very simple weight training with dumbbells at home, and when I said I've been more conscious about what I eat, I usually just try to eat less sugar and not overstuff myself. But these little changes of habit for the past 2 years put me in a much better shape than before. I started to grow more muscle, I have more energy, and I'm much more confident. Now, this is not a workout channel, so I'm not going to start flexing my muscle at you. I don't look like a male model or anything anyways, but I can confidently say that I am a better version of myself than I was a few years ago. And that's the important thing I learned this year. I'm never a competitive person. I never strive to be the best, but I always try to work on being a better person. When I just started to work out, my dumbbell was set to around 35 pounds, and now I can lift 50 pounds each hand. So I slowly increase the weight as my strengths grow. Now, I probably will never be as strong as The Rock for somebody like that, nor was that my goal, but I am happy to be stronger, more confident person than I was last year. The same mindset applies to my painting and my channel. I'm happy to have a decent audience size. I know I'm far from being a big YouTuber or a well-known artist, but that's okay. I'm grateful for each and every one of you who is watching this video right now. I want to acknowledge that every subscriber, except bot accounts or something, is a real person, and you are not just a number. I'm horrible with math, and I'm kinda glad I am because it makes me less sensitive about numbers. As long as I grow as a person and an artist, and as long as I help you in some way, I am happy and I am content. That doesn't mean I never feel jealous when I see other creators grow their channels much faster than me, or other artists getting into shows that rejected me. That can be a real mental struggle, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But at the end of the day, I just learned to be grateful and content and just focus on becoming a better me. So here I am, going at my own pace, and I appreciate you for being part of this journey with me. As for 2025, my only hope and plan is to completely update my watercolor essential course. I am planning to rename it to Watercolor Journey, since that's what learning watercolor is all about, a journey. The current course has been a few years old, despite there are a few updates here and there. I think I need to update it completely. Of course, any current student will get update for free. I'm not selling iPhones here. That said, I've been wanting to update the course for the past 2 years and have not done it, so I'm really hoping this is the year that I'm able to do that. Aside from that, I will continue to paint, create more content, and continue to work out. I don't have any sort of specific number or concrete goal for these. I just want to turn those into a habit, and I will keep my best to keep them going. So that concludes this video and my 2024. How was your year? Comment down below and let me know. If you like my content, consider giving it a like and subscribe. I'm Eric from Cafe Watercolor. Wish you a happy new year, and I will see you again 2025. God bless. Bye.